La 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 la. Okay, my name is David Lutz, and I'm French. I'm 29, and I was working in a bank in France, and I got bored in my life, and had a real need of spirituality and the need to see some more countries, some more culture, people, religion, I don't know what. And I decided to leave at the end of 1988 and to travel till India with a bicycle on an old Silk Road. So I flew from France to Yemen on the 1st of January 1999 with my bike, and I started to cycle in Yemen, where I spent 1 month, and from Yemen I flew to Egypt, where I cycled again in the Libyan desert and till then Luxor in the Nile Valley. And then I crossed Sinai, and from Sinai I went to Jordan, and then Syria, Turkey, especially in Kurdistan in eastern Turkey, and Iran, Pakistan, China, Tibet, and Nepal. And I arrived in Nepal, more or less at the end of the first year. And so the first year I cycled for approximately 13,000 kilometers, and I had really good time. I mean, I saw a lot of different culture, like all the Muslim culture first. During maybe the first 7-8 months, I was only in Muslim countries. And I really enjoyed it, especially the hospitality and the real friendliness of the Bedouin people in Syria. And again in Iran, Persian people I found very, very hospitable and friendly, interesting. And then after Pakistan and a Muslim country, I went to China. That was quite pretty tough for me, China, because I don't speak Chinese and the Chinese people don't speak English. And the Chinese are so different from the Muslim people. I mean, you don't have a lot of contact with them, and they don't really like to speak with foreigners or to help you. They are very distant and they don't want to lose the face, and so when you ask questions, they always, even if they don't know the answer, they will try to say something. I find it pretty difficult in China. And then from China, of course, I went to Tibet. In Tibet was a really, really important place for me in this trip, because in Lhasa it's maybe the place where I've been the happiest during all my trip, and I've been very conscious about this happiness. I had very nice welcome from the Tibetan people, and even if they suffered a lot through the Chinese occupation, they are very, very friendly, very helpful, just always smiling and joking, and it was amazing. In Lhasa I just woke up every day and went to the Chokang monastery, which is in the main place in Lhasa, where all the Buddhist people are doing their pilgrimage every day, and I just sat there and was looking at the people, and they gave me tea, and even if they couldn't speak, I mean, they gave me so much good energy that was amazing. I was really flying in Lhasa. It was great. And I cycled then after from Tibet to Nepal, so I crossed Tibet, and I saw what's happened there, which is pretty sad under the Chinese. The Chinese decided to invade Tibet in 1950, and for the Chinese, Tibet is part of China, and of course for the Tibetan it should be a free country. So the Tibetan struggles for the freedom of their country and for the independence and for their everything. I mean, the Chinese destroyed completely Tibet, and they destroyed approximately 6,000 monasteries. And as long as you deny the religion in Tibet, you just kill all the Tibetan people, because all the Tibetan culture is based on Buddhism and religion. Yeah, Chinese, you know, they are communists, so they are against more or less all religion, and especially against the Dalai Lama, so against religion and Buddhism. And I mean, today they try to put some water in the wine, but you have not real freedom of religion in Tibet, of course, because they cannot revert the Dalai Lama, and which is their spiritual leader. So that means everything. And the Chinese also use Tibet to put all their nuclear waste and their nuclear weapons and to make nuclear taste, and they destroyed completely the environments with the deforestation, for example. And they just tried to bring as many Chinese as possible in Tibet, and today in Tibet you have more Chinese than Tibetans. And so, yeah, it's kind of genocide, you know. But all the strategy, if I could say, of the Tibetans and the Dalai Lama is to say that they want a non-violence fight, and that they don't want any violence. They are ready to do whatever is possible, but without violence, which is a very interesting idea, I think. And so, yeah, across Tibet, and then I went to Nepal, and after Nepal I cycled in India. And in India I read a book written by a monk, Palden Gyatso. The book is called Fire Under the Snow, and it's the story of this monk who spent 33 years in prison in China just because he was monk and because he had some ideas about free Tibet. But he didn't do anything in Tibet, but he spent anyway 33 years in prison. And maybe 2 weeks later I had the chance to meet this monk in Daramsala, just really by chance, and I've been very, very impressed by this monk and by his life and by his struggle and by everything he's done. And that I told him I was cycling and I planned to go till Sydney for the Olympics game in September 2000. And I'd like to do something for Tibet because I thought that the Tibetan cause is very fair, and I like the way they want to fight without any violence. And I had such good time in Tibet that I also thought that maybe people gave me a lot during all my trip, and now it was my turn to give something back. And so I told him all of that and said that I'm going to be in Sydney and that all the media will be in Sydney, and so it could be possible to do an action to promote the Tibetan cause and to speak about Tibet to the media and things. So yeah, he was quite happy about that, but he didn't really know what was possible to do, and he sent me to see a French woman who is working in an association in Daramsala for the political refugees of Tibet. I mean, all the former political prisoners in Tibet, once they manage to set them free, yeah, they usually go to Nepal and India, and when they arrive in India, they need clothes, they need a place to live, they need some money for formation, to learn a job or something like this. And so this association is dealing with these people. And with this woman, I told her my story again, and I told her I'd like to carry a Tibetan flag from Dharamsala to Sydney and to give it to the International Olympic Committee. And so she told me, yeah, it's a really good idea, I like it, and but maybe you could also have a petition and to promote the Tibetan cause that people could sign during your trip. So I said, yeah, why not? It's great. So I took a petition to promote the Tibetan cause, and in the same time I collect money for this association. I mean, money was not the most important part of this action, I think, which is more like a free action. I bring a flag from one point to another and try to touch as many media as possible. And so in March 2000 I left Daramsala, still with my bicycle, and kept on going cycling in India, and then I flew from India to Thailand, because it's impossible to cross Burma today. And I cycled again in Thailand, in Cambodia, Thailand again, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Australia. And during my trip I tried to meet some journalists or things like that, and so I managed to have some in the radio in India, and I went on TV in Cambodia, and I had some articles in Cambodia too, in Singapore, and in Australia again. And during that time, two Australian girls made for me a website where people could sign the petition online. So then the number of signatures started to be higher and higher. And I arrived in Sydney, beginning of September 2000 for the Olympic Games. And I tried to get in contact with the International Olympic Committee. I managed to do so, but so I explained to them what I was doing, and they said they're gonna see, and they finally refused the flag because they said they're gonna have too many problems with the Chinese if they take it. So they were really brave, but I mean I can understand it. It's not such a big problem for me. They took the flag, it's great. They don't take it, they don't take it. It's their choice. But I managed to find and to reach quite a lot of media in Sydney again, and in France also especially. And again, newspapers and radio and televisions. So it was, for that I was happy. I mean, maybe I could have done more for Tibet, but that was my small action, and that's what I did for Tibet, and I'm very happy about that, because Tibet gave me a lot, Tibetan people and also Tibet in itself, and I really use a lot of Buddhism philosophy in my life today. That was something completely, quite new, because I didn't know so much about Buddhism before I left France. And today, I use it a lot, and there's some very interesting idea, I think. And so Sydney was more or less one of the final point of this trip. It was already 2 years when I arrived in Sydney that I left France. And after Sydney I decided to keep on going again, then to cycle again in India, where I am now, and to do some more yoga.